1,200 hours. That is my current Elden Ring playtime. That's the equivalent of 50 days worth of time. Nearly 2 months. When I look at that number, I don't feel too good. Honestly, I'm kind of disgusted with myself. I know for some people who may be watching this or compared to others' playtimes, it's not that much, but I've always been kind of a casual gamer. So getting this kind of playtime in a video game sort of feels like crossing the line to me. It's like when a heroin user switches over from smoking it or snorting it to shooting it. Definitely feels like some kind of line has been crossed here for me in terms of video game addiction. Like I was saying, I've always kind of been a casual gamer. I've always had other hobbies that have sort of taken priority. Never poured this much time into a video game. And I can't help but think about just all the more productive things that I could have put this time towards. The thing is too, I'm sure as you can tell from this footage, I'm not even that good at Elden Ring. Like, I've never done a level 1 run. I still get my ass kicked by a lot of just regular PvE players. Maybe that's kind of a design flaw of Elden Ring, or maybe I just still fucking suck. I'm kind of ashamed about my playtime for Elden Ring. I haven't even told anyone in my real life, but I can trust you, internet stranger. I know Elden Ring's coming up on like 4 years at this point, but the thing is, I haven't even been playing every day still. Like, I haven't really played all that much since Shadow of the Erdtree. I went pretty hard after Shadow of the Erdtree came out, but I haven't touched the game a whole lot since. 1,200 hours. Where's the time go? That playtime just kept creeping up and up. A couple hundred hours here, kept going up over the months and years. I'd find myself breaking out the calculator and being like, holy shit, how much am I playing every day? And then like dividing it by however many days it's been and be like, alright, so I'm averaging like hour and a half a day. But still, it's like getting to that point. It can't be good, right? Right? This isn't a good way to spend your time. I've come to grips with my playtime in Elden Ring a little bit more. At first I was just kind of distraught. I was like, this is just such a massive waste of time. If you're putting this much time into something, you should be getting something out of it in return. Betters your life in some way. I know there's people with way more playtime, but maybe they stream Elden Ring for a living, or they're in tournaments making money that way. Actually, no one makes money from Elden Ring tournaments. What am I talking about? I just had this mentality for a while that I've wasted so much time in Elden Ring. And like I said, I've kind of come to grips with that. I've realized that it's just entertainment. This is time that I've spent entertaining myself. A lot of people have this mentality. I find myself getting caught up in this a little bit too, is that you really need to be spending your time wisely, and everything you do needs to be bettering your life or financially bettering you in some way. But not everything we do is going to be productive. And honestly, I think if you try to stay productive all the time, it'll kind of drive you insane. In fact, when I first started this channel, it's kind of because I dumped a bunch of time to Elden Ring. I was looking at that playtime and I was like, I need to try to make something productive out of this. I also just wanted to try my hand at making videos, but initially I was like, I gotta turn all this playtime into something. But since then, I've just come to grips that it was my main source of entertainment, and it was just kind of what I did. Not saying I didn't do anything else during this time. Still went to the gym, still worked, still maintained relationships with friends and my girlfriend. So it's not like I was pushing everything to the wayside just to play Elden Ring. I won't lie, there's a couple times I skipped going out to the bars because I just felt like chilling home and playing Elden Ring. One could argue that's a better choice. Bars are expensive. Liquor's bad for you. Elden Ring, you buy it one time. You don't have to deal with drunks. No one tries to fight you. It really was just the one form of media I was consuming though. I didn't watch any shows on my own. Really didn't play any other games. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on much social media. I don't spend a lot of time scrolling. I think for most people, if they took that time and added it all up, it would probably come to a similar amount. It's probably safe to say most people spend an hour or two a night watching a TV show, similar amount of time scrolling on their phone. But the difference with those things is it doesn't keep track of it, so you don't really get that same hard-hitting number as you do when you look at your playtime for a video game. In fact, most things get really depressing when you just add up the amount of time you spend doing it. Like, you literally spend years of your life on the toilet. I don't even want to think about what my total time for just working a job will be at the end of my life. You get money in compensation, so it's a good way to spend your time working. You kind of have to do it to survive, unfortunately. But it definitely isn't necessarily how you want to be spending your time for 90% of people. And there is always that stigma with video games that only losers play video games. It's a big waste of time. If you spend all your time playing video games, you're never going to amount to shit. So always in the back of your head, when you see a big playtime for a number, you're going to be thinking to yourself, you're like, damn man, I'm a loser. Like, what am I even doing with my life? But as a society, we do just spend a lot of time consuming media, wasting time scrolling on our phones. Just the big difference is that video games record your time. So I've come to grips as a society that we just spend a lot of time with entertainment and media and things that could be quote-unquote time wasters. And sure, you could reject all this and just get your absolute grind set on and spend all your waking moments hustling, grinding, creating revenue streams. When I think about that though, I go, for what? I could not handle that, just like literally working all the time or always just scheming and plotting. I need to take some time, collect my thoughts a little bit, relax, maybe not work myself into a heart attack at the age of 45. So I've come to terms that Elden Ring is just how I chose to spend my entertainment time, and that it's not crazy disproportionate to other people's. Also that I'm like a good way into recording this. Is it sadder that I'm making a video that's just me coping the entire time? I think it's making the whole gravity of this situation much worse, that I'm willing to hop on and record just me being like, nah bro, it's actually not that bad. Everyone spends a lot of time wasting time. It's totally normal to have 12,000 hours. Holy shit, not 12,000, 1,200 hours in Elden Ring. Will I say I have no regrets doing this though? I'm not so sure. I think I do regret just the pure amount of time that I spent putting into one game. Like, there's so many good games that I've missed out throughout, the years, and just games in my backlog. I just kept pouring more and more time into Elden Ring. No games really hooked me the same before though. Like I was saying, I was a casual gamer before I found the Dark Souls games. At an old job, I broke my foot. I was laid up, had nothing to do. And I was like, you know what? The atmosphere of Dark Souls has always interested me. I want to try it out, but I kind of got intimidated with how people always talked about how difficult the games were, and oh, these games will break your balls. They're basically BDSM, the video game. I was like, I'm just a casual gamer. There's no way I could play that. But I was like, I got all the time in the world right now. Like, I'm just sitting around with a broken foot. And I gave it a shot. And like, once you start getting those first couple blocks out of the way, like, just getting through your first couple bosses, you get that rush and you're like, I might actually be able to do this. Then proceeded to play every single Dark Souls game, Bloodborne, throughout the next, I don't know, however many couple weeks I was laid up for. Fell in love with it. And Elden Ring just hooked me even more. Like, there's never been a game before that I was interested in actually getting like mechanical knowledge for, and learn a little bit of data about it, and just really like studying it. And I was finding great satisfaction from improving my game at it, whether it be PvE or PvP. But I was just getting so much satisfaction, like getting a mastery of the game. And even still, like, there's so many people who are better than me, or just have more natural talent. Like, I can't do any crazy swaps. I've never done any really hard challenge runs, or even a challenge run for that matter. This was also the first Souls game that I was able to experience in its prime and in its peak, in terms of popularity and online. I was really having a good time getting into invasions, learn more about PvP, hitting the arena, and if you've ever done arena like late into a game's life cycle, it's brutal. It's just like, only the diehards remain. They've been playing for so long. They're so good at the game, just so much more knowledge than you, and it's really hard to compete. So it's fun kind of getting in and being on a more even playing field with other players. And the PvP is really what hooked me. Like, the majority of my time is probably in PvP. Actually, it's for sure in PvP at this point. And the more you actually take the time to get good at PvP and learn a little bit about the game, it's like you kind of realize it's a little bit shallow. Like, you can only dive in so deep. And there is a lot of tech and a lot of skill and a lot of mechanical knowledge that comes with Elden Ring. When it comes to spacing and timing your attacks, predicting your opponent. Like, there's a lot to learn. It definitely takes skill to be good at this game, but when you realize just how unbalanced it is, it really starts to get to you. It starts to feel a little bit like an unrequited love. It starts to get really frustrating because you're like, I have, hundreds of hours in PvP, and this person who barely knows how to roll can just melt me with his buddy by pressing a single button. Just L2 spamming you, magic spamming you. And it just starts to feel like, damn man, like, what am I putting this time in for? And really trying to learn this game and like, practice, challenge myself, improve my skill, when someone who hasn't invested any time into the game This is the biggest cope ever. I'm just like, damn, I got beat by a bad player. Maybe that's because you are a bad player. That may be true, but it doesn't change that the game is still wildly imbalanced. So it kind of feels like, why did I put so much time into this unbalanced mess of a PvP system? But I did because it was fun. Nothing really quite hits like the PvP in Elden Ring. Something about it just invasions in general. Something very special about them that just really got me to sink my teeth into. And I was having fun, I would say the vast majority of the time. Like 90% of the time I was having fun. But man, that 10% that other time, ooh, it was bad. It feels like too for video games, like the deeper you get into them, the more you learn about them, the more skill you think you have, it starts to make those L's much more frustrating. You have an expectation for yourself. When you're new, you're just like, oh, whatever, of course they beat me. I'm new to this, I'm just starting, I don't have a lot of time in the game. But once you do, those L's, they sting a little bit more because you start to have an expectation for yourself. You're better than this. What the fuck are you doing? The various technical difficulties with the multiplayer really start to get to you too when you spend a lot of time dealing with it. Like all the loading screens you gotta sit through for matchmaking. Just the amount of time I spent spamming back and forth with the invasion tool to actually get an invasion since there's no proper matchmaking. So when you start to think about that with the context of how much you've played, it just really makes you think about how much time you spent looking at loading screens and spamming that stupid bloody finger back and forth so that I could get an invasion. There's gotta be at least one game, like one full playthrough of a single player game worth the time that I've been doing that. And also thinking about the amount of time I've spent in the game where I was frustrated because of these various things adding up, or just, people leveraging systems in the game against you, being just generally obnoxious, AFK farmers, people glitching, people hacking. So when I think about the amount of time that I spent annoyed dealing with those sorts of things, I do have a little bit of regret looking back at my playtime, thinking that it was time I could have spent towards playing another game, getting new experiences, as opposed to just time spent annoyed at a game that I've already probably gotten everything I'm going to get out of. So to sum it all up, this isn't some deep regret of mine. I don't think I'm going to be on my deathbed and be like, damn man, why'd I spend so much time playing Elden Ring? So going forward, I think I'm going to try to be a little more picky about where I'm putting my gaming time in, not really go all in on a game again like this, and just try to experience more different games. I think everyone should be wise with how they spend their time. Don't let anyone judge you for the amount of time you spent playing a video game, but do take the time to reflect upon it yourself, if it's really how you want to be spending your time, or if it's a good way to spend your time, or even if you could be having more fun playing a different game. It's easy to just get caught in the habit of, this is my game, you get into a routine with it, you come home, you hop on some invasions like I would do. This video wasn't meant to cast judgment on other people's playtime, just kind of a reflection of my own. So I appreciate you listening to my rants and my coping. I've been Captain Cope. Thanks for watching.